Today on Game Rant, Nintendo Switch Online is adding another GameCube title, a Battlefield 6 dev teases bigger maps, Krafton issues a formal response to the Subnautica 2 lawsuit, and more. Nintendo Switch Online is adding another GameCube title. On August 12th, Nintendo confirmed that Chibi-Robo Plug-in to Adventure, the first game in the Chibi-Robo series, will arrive on the GameCube Nintendo Classics app on August 21st. This will be the fifth game to come to the service. Chibi-Robo was a Japanese title before it was an American title, but has gone on to become quite the cult classic. It's a platformer that sees you taking on the role of a tiny robot as you explore everyday household areas from the perspective of a toy. On your adventure, you'll meet all sorts of wacky characters, run into gigantic humans, complete puzzles, fight bosses, and find happy points, which are the game's main collectible. This is the second game behind Mario Strikers to be added to the GameCube service since the launch of the original 3. While it's not nearly as exciting as something like Mario Sunshine would have been, it's definitely a welcome addition nonetheless. In other news, Battlefield 6 producer David Sirlin has teased that there will be larger maps in the main game than the ones we've seen in the Battlefield 6 beta. The Battlefield 6 beta has been a resounding success, with 521,000 concurrent players on Steam in just the game's first weekend. The hype around the title is palpable as players flock away from other live service games in order to take on the return to form for the iconic series. The game's features have received nearly unanimous praise, albeit with one exception. A lot of players are becoming frustrated with the size of Battlefield 6's beta maps. The current beta maps, Siege of Cairo and Iberian Offensive, are some of the smallest Battlefield maps we've seen, and while Liberation Peak is a little larger, it still feels tiny in comparison to the series norm. On Twitter, user Zirin voiced their complaint about this, saying that it caused the game to feel like COD. In response, DICE developer David Sirlin said, "Speed is a factor of map size. We picked these maps to make sure we hit the full octane version of Battlefield on the head and made everyone see that we can handle that too. Large maps exist and the tempo scales accordingly. You'll be able to see soon enough." This is definitely an encouraging thing to hear, and looking at the map roster, we can see that Myrick Valley and Operation Firestorm definitely present larger scale experiences that should change up the pace of gameplay. With another weekend of the Battlefield 6 beta to go, many players are excited to jump back in and excited to experience all the maps on the full launch of the game on October 10th. Next, Krafton has issued a formal response to the former Subnautica 2 devs lawsuit. Krafton acquired Unknown Worlds in 2021 for a sum of $500 million, with an additional $250 million in bonuses to be paid out if Unknown Worlds met certain sales milestones after releasing Subnautica 2, 90% of which would have gone to the game's 3 core leaders. This has spurned forth a lawsuit as Krafton cut all 3 of these leaders and delayed the full release of the game, ensuring that they wouldn't have to make this payout. The discussion has its two sides though, with Krafton saying that the 3 were rushing the game's launch, which wasn't ready in order to receive the payout, and the 3 leaders of Unknown Worlds saying that the game was ready and Krafton didn't want to make the payout. Now, Krafton has formally responded to the lawsuit with a 100-plus page document submitted to the court answering every single complaint raised by the former Subnautica 2 devs in full. The publisher claims that after pocketing the $200 million from the $500 million sale of Unknown Worlds, Charlie Cleveland and Max McGuire abandoned Subnautica 2's development, focusing instead on personal projects. The lawsuit in general has been a crazy back and forth, with many gamers unsure of who to believe. Regardless, it all points to a rocky future ahead for Krafton, for Unknown Worlds, and especially for Subnautica 2. The whole thing is an interesting conundrum regardless. Okay, but now time for our quick news blast. Schedule 1 is releasing a new update for August 2025. The highly anticipated Cartel update for Schedule 1 is now officially available on the game's Steam beta branch, meaning that it's coming to the full game soon. A Resident Evil Requiem leak reveals new gameplay details, including vehicular traversal and a Last of Us 2 style combat system. Also, sadly, Arc Raiders isn't planning any more playtests ahead of its launch, as Embark Studios wants to put its full focus towards its October 30th release date after the success of their tech test 2 back in May. And finally, Diablo 4 fans should circle August 14th, tomorrow, on their calendars, as Blizzard has recently announced that a Sanctuary sit-down for Diablo 4 fans will be held on that day. So that was all the news for today, August 13th, but if you're looking for more here on Game Rant to watch, go check out Austin Clark's video about how there will never be a game like Left 4 Dead. It's a wonderful piece that explores the franchise's history and all the things that make it special. That's all, and for everything else, keep it right here at Game Rant.